Hello, everybody. It is Friday. That means we would like to welcome you to There's No Crying in Crochet, the podcast where we try to solve all of your crochet frustrations and make life as happy as possible for you.
Yes.
Before we get into today's subject, I'd like to introduce myself and my cohort in crime. I am Debbie of Madam Stitch, and this is...
I am Biz of Busy Crochet. Welcome to everybody today.
And we are your hosts every week. All right, we're going to do a little bit of business before we get into our subject for today. We would love it if you would subscribe to our YouTube channels, Busy Crochet and Madam Stitch Crochet, because our podcast isn't the only wonderful thing that we do. We release tutorials for some of the products that we're designing. Right now we're in the middle of a crochet along, and I'm releasing videos about all of the squares in the cowl, and there are just lots of fun things going on our YouTube channel. So if you subscribe, you get a notification every time we upload something new. And if you are watching us on Facebook, make sure that you give StreamYard, our streaming service, permission to display your name so we, Biz and I, can see your name in the chat, because we love to see people rather than anonymous users. Okay.
Although we'll talk to anonymous people too.
Oh, we talk to everybody. We talk to each other a lot. We talk to everybody, right? It's just that kind of podcast.
Yes.
Okay. Sometimes we get off track with as much as we talk to each other, but I digress.
For sure.
All right. We start off every episode with just catching up on life. So, Biz, what's up this week?
So we haven't seen each other or talked in weeks now, because we both had weekends where we had stuff going on.
Yep.
Yes.
3 weeks.
And so just in that time frame, Stephanie and the baby have gone back to work. The baby brought a cold home, which I caught promptly. And it's been, yes, she got over hers within a couple of days. Yay, immune system. And then I am still coughing. And although the cold is gone, it's just this lingering thing in my chest that likes to hang on. But it's almost done. A little bit of chunky cough. But yeah, that took me almost 2 weeks to get over. And so that's what I've been doing. I actually finished a project that I had been working on for a couple of months. I haven't crocheted a lot just because I've been letting my hands heal and rest. And it was so good to just get that thing done and out of the way. Other than that, just been school. That's all I do is school. I get up in the morning, it's school till supper, and then I veg. My brain just veggies for the rest of the day because it's so burnt out. All I've done is think.
Yep. No, I hear you.
So what have you been doing?
Oh man, let's see. You're right. It's been several weeks since we've seen each other. Of course, there's tons of crochet going on. I'm working on some new designs that will be coming out in the coming week, so just watch out for those. Every year, my husband and I go with friends up to the Finger Lakes region in New York. So if you're not familiar with it, look it up on a map. There are a series of lakes that were formed by glaciers, and they look like fingers running down New York State.
Oh, that's funny.
Their claim to fame is wineries.
Okay.
So I spent 3 days up there with a crochet colleague of mine where we did some co-working and tasting all the cheeses and wines. And then my husband came up with the friends, and we did all the wine tastings and all of that stuff. So there was a lot of wine involved. I needed a vacation when I got back, but mostly and this week there's lots of Little League baseball. So that's going on. Gotta support the grandkids, right?
Absolutely.
So anyway, that's what's up with us this week.
Well, I have a new Maisie thing. So you know how she's our little snuggle muffin, and she's this tiny little ball of fat that is so sweet. And then she started going to work with her mom. So when she comes home at night, she is peopled out. And she's like, don't look at me, don't touch at me, don't even breathe in my direction.
Oh my
I am
gosh.
done with people. So
Seriously.
usually Stephanie would hand her to Nono or she'd hand her to me. And we'd just, hold her while Steph went and did things. Nope. She screams, just absolutely screams.
Oh,
So we're going through,
no.
yes, we're going
Oh,
through this
no.
phase where all she wants is mom after work. And so they've started this routine now where they go in Steph's bedroom, they take about an hour, they just chill out, they get away from people and sounds and, all of that stuff. And after that, she does a little bit better, but it just depends. Her mood is like, I don't know. I might love you. I might scream again. So, but she's only 2 months. So, as she gets more used to this, hopefully it'll
Yep.
calm down. But right now we're in the scream phase after work.
She's got to decompress and hasn't figured that
She
out yet, has she?
does. No. But it's so funny. All of the years that Tony and I have been together, he's the kind of person who he's got to come home, just give me a half an hour, let me go shower, let me go deep people, and then I can
Yep.
come out and do stuff.
Right.
And so it took me a long time to realize that about him, but boy, it made a difference in his ability to participate in being, with the kids and all of that stuff when we were younger. If I just gave him enough time to step away, and sometimes that's just
Yeah,
what you got to do. And Maisie is definitely
exactly.
a D people kind of person.
Yeah. Wash off the day.
Yes. Yes.
Change my diaper and wash off the day. All right.
Absolutely. Give me a bottle, people.
Let's go. All right, Ms. Biz, I think we've caught up
Yes.
on what's going on. That we could talk all the whole podcast about that, but we are here about crochet, are we not? Yes, we
Yes,
are. All
we
right,
are.
so the month of October, we are spending our 4 episodes talking about ways to declutter
Mhm.
and de-stress. Now, I
Yep.
realize that we've talked about this a little bit in the past, but we're taking a slightly different course of action in that we're going to declutter, but we're going to do it from the standpoint that we want to create a stress-free, mindful space where
Uh-huh.
crochet can just help us relax. A
Yes.
little bit different from organizing your space just to get the yarn up off the floor. So we're going to spend today's episode talking about how to sort as you clean. We're going to
Yes.
start to declutter that craft space.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know about you, Biz, but before I organized my yarn shelves, I had it stacked in boxes, cartons all over the floor, in bags, all of that kind of stuff. There's still a little bit of that, which I will not show you, but I pretty much could not walk across the room.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it just, and then I would try to find something and I would spend way too much time trying to find it, and it was just so stressful to even be in here because I couldn't do anything with the space.
Yeah.
I'm sure you felt the same way about your space at one point or another.
Yes. Actually, currently, because if I picked up my computer and moved it, you'd see my mess right behind me. My room is very, very small, and we just changed my office around. So everything that was kind of stuffed on the other side of my desk is now right behind me. And so I need to finish going through everything. But like
Mhm.
I look at my shelves and they're all full of yarn, that I've, organized in different ways and stuff. But I don't have enough space to put. I've got a whole tote full of my DK yarn that I keep meaning to design a blanket with, but it just never happens. So it's all just been sitting in this tote for months now, and I don't have enough space on these shelves. I don't know what I'm going to do with it.
Yeah, I
So this is
know,
the perfect
and my
time.
husband will make fun of me. He'll go, "You've got an office and a craft room. Why is this stuff in another room?" Well, most
No.
businesses have a large space with plenty of storage. Just because I'm at home. Now, not everybody who's listening has a business. We're talking about your
Right.
personal craft space, but the struggle is real.
Uh-huh.
So we're here to talk a little bit today. We've got 4 kind of areas that we're going to talk about and
Mm,
give you some ideas about how you might start this process. So, we talked about this from a de-stressing standpoint. So, why is a
mhm.
messy craft space so stressful.
Oh,
There
there's
are so
so
many
many,
reasons,
so many reasons. I mean, just for me, just alone, the navigation of the space. That,
right?
but I mean, you have this amazing list that you put together. So we're gonna actually go through this because I don't want to miss any one of these because they're all
Oh,
good.
I love some of these because you don't think about it, but it subconsciously affects you, right?
It really
I think the
does.
first one is amazing. We don't
Hmm.
think about it, but visual overload, it
Yep.
overstimulates your brain. It's like there's too much. I
Hmm.
can't see what I really need.
Hmm. You walk in a room and you literally your brain just shuts down.
Yep.
You're like,
It
I can't
does.
deal with this, and you turn around and you walk away, and your productivity is
And we're
screwed right
out.
from the start.
Yeah, I love that one because you don't think about that. I already talked about the next one, about losing time because you can't find
Mhm.
anything.
Yep.
Um, I'm not gonna say that my organizational scheme is perfect in this room
Mhm.
because one of the things that happens to us, Biz, and I know this happens to you too,
Mhm.
we're constantly moving projects through.
Mhm.
We're making things as I know you're taking a little bit of a break, but when you're
Mhm.
on, you're making.
Yep.
And so things get spread out or they get um, mixed in with other things.
Mhm.
And just trying to find what you're working on loses time. Or
Yes.
that's that one hook, or all the stitch markers I needed, or the
Yes.
blocking pins when I'm done. So where
Oh
did
my
those
gosh,
go? Oh,
yes.
wait, it's under that work in progress.
Yep. Yep.
It's just
I've had
crazy.
to learn how to be really precise about, like, okay, I'm done with this because my husband is like this. There's a spot for every tool and there's a tool for every spot and it goes there and it belongs there and that's what so like he's very organized. I am walking chaos. And so he's had to learn how to live in a tornado as a very OCD
Yeah.
person. But he's taught me a lot of things about it really pays to put things back where you got it from as soon as
Yep.
you're done using it, even
Yep.
as inconvenient as that is. If you'll just do it right away after you're done using it, it's there the next time that you need it. And it's not this whole lost time. I've got to go searching. It's a grand,
Exactly.
you know, adventure where you got to, like Indiana Jones, we are on the
Let's see if
hunt.
we can find it today, right?
Right.
Now, I will say with works in progress, especially active works in progress, putting them in a project bag with all the tools and the
Mhm.
pattern that you need is a good thing. But
Yes.
general things like blocking boards and pins and
Mhm.
um, other things that you might use at the end of the process or something need to have a special place so you know where they are. Like
Yeah.
even winding your yarn.
Mhm. So I have a tendency to, as I'm working on a project, and if I get to the end of, I'll just ball it up. I'll just set it there. I'll move it next time, and then the pile just continues
No,
to grow. And I have
I
this
know.
very carefully stacked balls of yarn that if you knock it wrong, it's all going down, and it happens repeatedly because a dog or a kid or somebody knocks into it. But you just keep picking up the stupid balls and putting them back, and you
And
very
there they are.
carefully like, just put them away.
I think that's probably not how to organize, and I'm
Now,
pretty sure that's not in our list later on.
I am
So,
the
just
antithesis of it.
saying.
Oh my
All right, the
gosh.
next one kinda goes with visual overload, it's mental
Yeah,
clutter.
yeah,
Holy cow. I feel guilty about all the things that are still not, done,
yeah,
if I see them all sitting out, you know?
yeah. And quite honestly, there have been scientific studies that have been done linking actual clutter to depression and things of that nature. Like they say, if you have a messy house, you have a messy life. Um, Now,
I'm not sure about that
I'm
one,
not
but
100% sure on that just because I don't have the cleanest house in the world, but my life isn't all torn up. You know what I mean?
exactly. Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
there is some correlation to why do I keep avoiding that thing? So sometimes, we need
Mhm.
to take a minute,
Exactly.
clear out the cobwebs.
Yep. All right. I think the next two kind of go together.
For sure.
Creativity block and reduced productivity, right?
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
um, I know sometimes I can't choose what project to work on because it's
Mhm.
either buried or it's in amongst 5 other things that need to get finished.
Yeah.
I love to have more than one project going at once because
Mhm.
I need the variety
I do
just
too.
to keep my just things flowing. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, when they all end up on my sewing machine, all bets are off.
Oh, as far as like for myself, the creative block and reduced productivity, I'll get an idea in my brain and I'll be like, oh, I know I've got that. And I'm like, wait a minute, where did I
Yeah,
put that?
right?
And I've got the perfect yarn. And it's one of those, it's almost like a fever dream because you're not quite sure if you have that skein of yarn or if you just remember it from the last time that you were going through your pile of junk and you already used it. And it just
Oh
so
my gosh.
that's where I run
Been
into
there, done
problems.
that.
I end up searching and searching for this one specific skein or one
Mhm.
specific ball I just know I have.
You know it's there. Exactly.
Yes.
Uh, decision fatigue. The more stuff you have, the more decisions your brain has to make. Now, I
Yep.
had seen a study, again, we talk about research. Um, Sometimes when we're faced with too many things to choose from, we can't make a choice at all.
Yep.
So when the choices are narrowed, when there are 3 or 4,
Mhm.
easier to make a decision rather than,
Mhm.
think about walking into the grocery store. Think
Yeah.
about just the aisle of vegetables and fruits,
Yeah.
and the all the way down the aisle is your choices. And you sometimes, unless it's on your list, you just can't make a
Yeah.
decision. Or
Oh, for
what
sure.
kind of soup do I wanna buy, right? So it
Right.
applies the same to our projects.
Well, and if you've like an ingredient, just there's 7 different kinds of flowers out there. What flower do I wanna use? What exactly is gonna be the very best? Like like you said, there's this decision fatigue, and that's one of the reasons why I ended up turning my desk around is because I used to face my yarn, and then behind me was my workstation. Now my calendar is over there, which I haven't changed in 2 months, so I mean, it's almost like I gotta move it. But anyway, I wanted to have the yarn behind me. But I remember sitting there looking at my yarn and I'd be like, "Oh, the yarn is there to be an inspiration." Except that after a while I started going, all it does is make me feel bad because I've got all these skeins of yarn I wanna touch, and I wanna do, but I'm like, I'm in the middle of this whatever it is, I can't do any of that, so I don't wanna look at it. And that's one of the
Yeah.
reasons why I have it behind me. I know that sounds weird, but me staring at
Oh, no, no,
something
no.
and realizing I can't touch that, I can't do it, can't be with it, it's just torture.
I hear you.
So that kinda goes
All
along
right.
with the next one.
Loss of joy. It just kills the spark, doesn't it?
It does.
It just kills it.
It sucks the
Oh my
fun out of what
gosh.
you're doing.
I think that's
Oh,
enough said, yes.
it is.
Um, and feeling out of control, right?
Mhm.
So I liken this to the rest of my house. When I get the house picked up, it
Yes.
feels like I have control over my space,
Yes.
that there isn't something just spilling out all over the place. I actually know where everything is, and it's the same with your craft space.
Yeah, like, every morning I get up and I do my dishes, and I some people do it before they go to bed. For me, it's a morning activity. I just like to That's how I kind of wake up after my cup of coffee
Yep.
is I go do the dishes and then everything's ready to go. But I just feel like, "Oh, I can function now. I can cook for people now. I can do," it's
Yep.
just I think we've all had that feeling.
Yes, we have. All right. So next up, we would love to give you some storage
Yeah.
solutions for your small space. So most of us,
Mhm.
even those of us who have the office craft room kind of space have relatively small spaces. And so,
Yes.
some of us just have a space around the chair that we work in, a shelf here and there, or whatever. And so it behooves us to find some solutions that help us organize what we have. We have
Mhm.
some great suggestions here. I'm really excited about these. And we're going to give you general categories. It will be up to you to kind of go out and maybe do a little exploring at your local department store or Amazon or wherever you like to shop.
Yeah.
But we've got some great categories that you can think of. First up is vertical space. So building
Mhm.
up from the ground,
Mhm.
whatever that means. For instance, I've got that floor to ceiling shelf, which I
Yep.
think you do too.
Yep.
But if you don't have that, you can do uh, pegboards, mounted shelves,
Mhm.
hanging baskets are great.
Yes.
I've seen people take wicker baskets and tack the bottom of the basket to the wall and then stack their yarn in it as if they
Mhm.
are cubes like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Mhm.
Really cute decorating idea. And then everything you have is right there at your hand.
And some of those like this particular, unit I got from IKEA t 2006? I don't know, I've had it for so long, it has moved with us. My husband has sworn, "This is the last time I'm tearing it down. I'm not putting this thing together again." And yet we move it every single time.
Guess what?
Yes, exactly. So, but it used to be my son's and it transitioned into my yarn thing. And some of them can get a little bit pricey, but you can go to Walmart and just get those very simple, like shoe solutions or the little
Mhm.
cubicles that they have that kind of stack on top of each other. Those work really well
Right.
as well. And there's something that maybe you can only afford to get one or two of them at a time, or you can only afford to get one a month or something. You can continue to build your storage wall
Yeah.
as you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Rolling carts. Oh, I missed clear bins and labels. So
Yeah.
so that you can see if you have to store something in a closet, make sure that
Mhm,
it's in a clear tub with
mhm.
labels on it to show what's in
Yep,
it.
got lots of totes in my closet.
Yep. Rolling carts. I
Mhm.
actually have one of these for my office supplies.
Do you?
So it has
Jealous.
little drawers in it that you can put pencils and paper and stuff like
Mhm,
that. If you don't have a desk, you can do a rolling cart,
mhm, for sure.
something like
Actually, I think
that.
the one that's underneath my desk, it's one of those little 3-drawer plastic doojobbies that would and I think
Yep.
it's supposed to have wheels on the bottom, but I have it permanently located as a drawer system under my desk.
And
But,
you can
yeah,
grab those at Staples or any office supply store like that.
you can even go to any of these, like, Five Below or, Dirt Cheap or something like that. I mean, like, if you're on a budget, it's not bad to go to the places that a lot of times they'll have stuff that are not not old or bad, but just reduced because it's an overflow.
Right. Over the door organizers. Have you ever
Those
used
are
those?
so great. Yes.
Right? So they just hook over or tie over or whatever.
Yep.
Um, and those are really good for putting skeins of yarn in, that sort of thing. They're usually used for shoes, aren't they?
A lot of times
That
for
sort of
cleaning
thing.
supplies, some people use them for makeup supplies in bathrooms. Some people use them for all their bows. Some people use them in kitchens and store their spices in them. There's so many different things that
So
you can use them for.
you could actually use that for hooks or for small balls of yarn,
Yes. Oh, yes.
tools, things, that sort of thing.
You and I were
Um,
talking earlier about, like, losing our stitch markers and things like that. That would be a great
yep,
place especially if you get the one that has, like, the little, pockets as opposed to the squares.
yeah.
You could put all of that stuff that you lose every single time you do a project because it's right there, you can see it.
Now, I love stackable baskets, and I love to use wicker baskets as decoration, but also holds a lot of my finished objects. So,
Mhm.
as a designer, we always have all of these finished samples that we make for our
Right.
patterns, and we don't necessarily they're not necessarily purposed for someone. Now I know you give away a lot of the blankets that you make, but
Yeah.
I still have a lot of mine, and I have these big wicker baskets. They're actually laundry baskets, that look really cool under my sewing machine, but it keeps those samples, organized. But
Yeah.
stackable ones are great because then you can, again, build that vertical space,
Yes.
vertical storage.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of wicker baskets. I've got them all over the house. I do have one next to my chair that um it holds a lot of like my extra stuff, when you uh, what do I have in there? Just a bunch of crappy yarn right now. And I say crappy yarn just because it's yarn that like I don't know why I'm still hanging on to it. I need to clean out that basket. Now it's got me all stressed out. But it also holds, like, my extra when you buy the packs of crochet hooks that come in that little plastic thing,
Yeah.
I've got one of those in there, and I've got some knitting needles that are in there like that. I just kinda keep all that stuff by my chair.
Right, so those are great solutions.
Mm,
Let's see. What else? Oh, furniture with storage, right? So we've
yes.
seen the beds that have the drawers underneath, but you can get much the same thing like a table with
Mhm,
drawers underneath or shelving that has drawers in it, that sort of thing.
mhm.
Honestly, an old chest of drawers would be fabulous. I
Yes,
used to
yes.
use that before I bought dedicated furniture, but I had an old chest of drawers that I would tuck some things in, and that was really useful.
I have an ottoman
Drawer
full
o
of yarn.
Oh, there you go. Do you remember what yarn is in it?
Yeah, there's, a variety of some DK yarns and some Christmas stuff.
Oh, good. I was gonna say you should label that, but that probably
Well, it's
wouldn't
the
go
one
with
that I
your
use in the
decor.
living room, and so it just for
Just
whatever reason,
saying.
like, when I have to pick up my yarn or whatever, I try to stuff more in there, and it's so full.
There you go. Let's blaze through some of these other things.
Yeah.
Drawer organizers, hanging yarn storage. Oh, I used to do this, okay, with patterns. I used to, particularly with magazines that had patterns in them, I
Mhm.
would take, I don't have it right now, but there's a three-hole plastic sleeve that
Yep,
you can thread the magazine through,
yep,
and then it holds the magazine in a binder.
yep,
You can do the same thing with patterns and get those three-hole plastic sleeves and stick those in there and then put those in a binder. So
yep.
that's a great way. I don't have one handy right now. I'd have to get up,
Mine's out in the
but
living room.
that's a great way to organize those magazines and
Mhm.
patterns that are loose
Well, and
into
I also
something
have,
where they don't get creased,
from IKEA, I got some of their wooden ones just because they last longer than the soft
right?
fabric ones.
Yeah,
But, I've got all my old books and magazine stuff. I have those all up on my bookshelf just because I don't use them as much, so it's a good place to keep them safe.
right. Yeah. And then under desk storage bins. So most of those things are kind
Yeah.
of the same category, just a little bit different way of
Mhm.
looking at it. All right.
Yeah.
So we've solved all of your what do you put it in. Now
Yes.
you got to sort it. Right, so we've actually talked about this before when we
Yeah.
were talking about, stash busting projects and that sort of thing, but we're gonna be a little bit more specific in this one. We've talked about the first one a lot,
Mhm.
um, and
Yeah.
that is
Sorting by weight, color, and fiber.
right.
Mhm.
So you kinda have to choose what system works for you. Now,
Yeah.
I suspect, Biz, that you sort your yarn kind of the same way I do. I sort by weight,
Mhm.
and then I also sort I don't know if you can see it. but I sort by color categories, but I keep the same yarn together.
Uh-huh.
I have facing us is worsted weight, and then what curves around the corner, that I can't figure out the mirrored. There we go.
I know it's the opposite of
Wait,
whatever
it's
you're
that way.
putting.
Anyway, as it goes around the corner, it's DK weight, and that
Uh-huh.
way I know what I'm looking at.
I do it by weight first. I have a tendency to buy, like if I'm gonna buy a lot of yarn or I need a lot of yarn in a particular weight, I buy a bunch of different colors. So I'll usually keep it in brand,
Mhm.
as opposed to, and I don't worry necessarily about the colors because as much as I would like to be really picky about my colors, I don't have enough space for that. So if I had oodles of space, I would definitely be hyper OCD about it just because that's the way my brain works when I'm putting things away. So it, keeping it that way is a whole nother story. But so now I just kind of let myself do what I need to do in order to just get it up on the shelf. But yeah, it's usually just by weight. And then I do have my natural fibers separated from my synthetic fibers. Other than that,
Mhm.
that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and I think for everyone's personal stash, you kinda have to consider what yarn do you use the most? What type of yarn do you use the most? That one
Mhm,
you're gonna wanna really pay attention to. The rest
mhm.
of it, you can then divvy up into containers or shelves or whatever,
Yep.
so it's at hand, but it's not just thrown in a corner somewhere.
Right,
Um,
exactly.
our
Sorry.
next one is look at your stash regularly. Okay, so this is tough for me. I get it
Yeah,
organized and I go, "Oh, I'm done. Let's walk
I'm
away."
done.
But it
Who
it
needs a book?
moves because of what I use, right? Not because it moves on its own. No, my it doesn't have legs. It just I'm
The
thank
little
you, Biz.
skeins of yarn are in the
Thank you.
background doing a Broadway
Yeah, that's
show.
right. That's okay. Maybe for the next episode we'll do that. We'll work that out. We can make a video. Anyway, um, but every few months or whatever period of time,
Mhm.
every quarter, every half year, just go through it
Yeah,
and look and see what you need to change.
yeah.
Because
And
really,
quite
if you
honestly,
haven't touched it, it doesn't exist.
we should distash at least once, if not twice a year. At
Yep.
least on the minimum. It would be
Yeah.
better if you did it like once a quarter, but I don't know how many of us are disciplined to really sit down and be like, I am destashing my yarn today. Um, I can barely do that in my house for God's sake. So
Exactly. Oh my gosh, we talked about the next one a little bit already, but the tools that you use. For
yeah.
instance, you're gonna laugh here, but I repurposed well, it doesn't really have anything in it, but I repurposed this little Tupperware
Yeah.
doohickey for what I use all the time. My little
Oh,
scissors and
fun.
my needle, I need it at the ready all the time. So it's
Yeah.
sitting on my not very pretty, but it works, it gets the job done.
Yeah.
Organize your tools by how often you use them
Yeah.
and where you need them the most.
Yeah.
So again, your winder, your Swift, your blocking boards and pins, all of that stuff is occasional,
Yeah.
but all of your hooks, your scissors, your tape measure, all
Mhm.
of that stuff is an all the time thing.
I have a couple of zippered cotton pouches that I have
Mm,
some of everything in, and usually one stays in this room and one stays out in the living room. Not to say
yep.
that I don't, you know, steal from one to move it around if I
To feed the other.
feed the other. Yeah, like because I misplaced something again.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, normally everything that has worked really well for me because then also if I have to a lot of times if we're going to go visit my mom for an afternoon or go see his parents, whatever, I will take along a pouch and then I can just grab this bag full of all of my
Yep.
stuff. I've got measuring tape, I've got scissors, I've got hooks, I've got needles,
Yeah.
etc. And so I have everything that I need to work on whatever I'm doing.
No, that's a great idea. I have much the same thing, but just kind of organized a little differently.
Mhm.
Um, Organize your works in progress so you know what you do. Label them, keep the pattern with them. If you can't, keep the
Yes.
hook with it. Note what hook you are using so you don't have to frog, right?
Yes, that is actually
And
a tip that I picked up from you. Making sure that you have a copy of your pattern with
mhm,
whatever you're working on. Because for a long time, like I didn't I didn't have myself spread out to where I didn't know what was what. But then I found myself looking at stuff going, where did I have that pattern stored? Was that
yeah,
something that I had printed out or was that on my phone? How where, so that's a really good practice.
this is where it came from. I used to knit. I don't knit anymore just because I don't really have time, but I had this gorgeous sweater worked in expensive DK weight yarn, and it had this intricate cable pattern down the front,
Uh-huh.
and I was using the paper pattern to mark off the rows that I had done because it's one of those I guess because I don't knit often enough, I wasn't able to visually see where I had left off.
Right. Right.
I still to this day have not found that pattern that I marked up. I have the pattern, but I don't know what row I stopped on.
Oh no.
Saved my life. So, just saying, that's not a great way to
Oh, what a
end a work in
bummer.
progress. But if I really wanna use that yarn, don't be afraid to frog a work in
Yeah.
progress that's just past it. We all change our mind, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, don't be afraid to frog
To
a
let it
project and
go.
reuse that yarn, right?
Let it
That's
go.
a let it go thing, right?
Let it go.
Um Go digital with your patterns. Now, not everybody likes this.
Mhm. Nay, nay.
Do you like that?
No,
You don't like that?
no. Okay, so I use a combination, a hybrid of both. Okay.
Okay.
But I am not a believer in keep it all in online. I just can't do it. I am too much of a zombie apocalypse. Something's gonna happen. It's gonna wipe it all out, and I need to have something in writing.
And there we that's awesome. I have my handy iPad, and so I will download, but I will say that I do print out patterns so I can make notes because I can't always make notes. I can make notes in the iPad, but it's not as satisfying as having a piece of
No.
paper
Well,
that you
and
can
it's
make your notes on.
yes, because like if you need to erase something, it's easy to erase. And for whatever reason, okay, so I like to make Joanna Lindahl's uh, Miho crochet. She does a
Is
lot of
that the virus shawl?
no, not the
No?
virus, but like she's got like the Lost in Times and Secret Paths, and she does a lot of
Oh,
shawls done in fingering weight. And I always get the pattern, download it on my phone, and I try to make notes and I use highlighters to keep track of where I'm at and how many times I've done my repeat. And then I'll do something and everything will get locked in there and I can't do anything or erase anything. So this is
oh
another
no.
reason why I
Oh
like
no.
writing on paper because as much as I am a friend to computers, they are not a friend to me.
It's not a mutual respect.
No, it is not.
Oh my gosh. All right, let's
No.
see. Speaking of patterns, and I'm going to skip over one here. Use
Yeah.
Ravelry and apps for inventory, right? So um, that's going digital, but that's keeping track of what you have, right?
Yeah.
So you have a Ravelry
Library.
library, and
Yes, their library,
yes,
and
you have a
so, like,
library.
something like that, I don't really have a problem with it. Like I said, I keep all of my patterns in digital form, in my business. I have several folders on my computer that have digital
Mhm.
patterns. I have my Ravelry and all of that, but stuff that I'm actually working on, that's my collection.
Yes.
That's to
Stick
look
that in
at.
the bag.
That's right, but what I'm actually working on, you need to have it in front of me. But I was gonna say
All right,
too,
the one
that
I
you had said,
oh,
use
sorry.
the app for inventory. It's not just the patterns, but there are people who actually keep track of their yarn. in Ravelry. But you've got to have a
Oh,
level
that's
of
right. You can
dedication,
do that.
to keeping track of your yarn on Ravelry.
Yeah, that would be tough for me.
Oh,
Really tough.
Donna
Oh,
says it would take me forever to add an inventory to Ravelry. And that's kind of why I don't do it either, is it just, yeah.
yeah. Well, the inventory, yes. When you buy a pattern on Ravelry, it automatically shows up in your library. But
Right.
yeah, I would be on the computer all day going, okay, I need to add that. Oh, wait, what else do I have? I
Yes.
could just
Yes.
walk
Oh,
over
it
there,
just sounds
there,
like a nightmare.
somewhere. All right. Create a to use basket. So, if there's something pressing that needs to get, like we're heading into the holiday gift giving
Right.
season, which, by the way, at the end of the month, we're going to get you ready for that
Yes.
because you've decluttered and
That's kind of what we're
de-stressed, and now
working
you can
toward.
focus on, right? You can focus on that. But create a to-do basket if you can, if you've got space. When you declutter, do it mindfully. Now, this sounds like Maria. Oh, what's her name? The one. Uh, if it doesn't bring
Maria
you
Kondo.
joy, yeah. So that sounds very Maria Kondo, right? This this does not bring me joy, so I'm going to get rid of this. That
Yes.
sort of thing.
Yes.
But declutter mind. Ask yourself whether you still love it or plan to use it. Now,
Uh-huh.
if you're like my husband, and I suffer from this too, it's I know I'm going to use that at some point. I'm going to keep it. No, there are things we own that we've had since we were married, and that was decades ago,
Yeah.
that he's never used, and we've moved.
Yeah.
So no, if you really need it, go back and buy it
Yeah.
somewhere, but chances are you'll be okay.
Uh,
Um,
well, Donna brought up, she said it might bring you joy in 6 months. You're absolutely right. My husband has a box full of cords that we've had for 30 years because we've been married for 30 years. Um, because um he just can't throw anything away. Like I can't even go through what it took me to get him to get rid of his old work boots because he might, I might use them to, mow the grass or something. He becomes emotionally attached to things. But
yeah,
as far as going through your stash mindfully, I finally had to get to a place where, you're right, Donna, you might love it in 6 months, but if it took me an entire 6 months to actually need something, then I'll go buy it when I need it again. I mean, I know that sounds kind of privileged in its thinking, but it's taking up space right now
mhm,
that I need for something else.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I have gone through and I've had yarns that like were donated to me. I'm sorry, my throat's getting a little bit dry. Um, and I thought, I gotta keep it, I gotta keep it, I gotta keep it. And I might do something with it. And except that I would sit there and I would move it from spot to spot to spot, and it would take up all my space. And then I just felt guilty every time I looked at it. And I finally realized one day, you know what? I know a person who needs yarn who would use
yeah,
this. This is not my
yeah.
kind of yarn, or I would have used it, you know? So at some point, you just have to look at it and say, I'm okay letting this go. I
Yeah.
don't have to be the one that uses this.
Well, you're actually getting us into the next subject. Two more things. Set limits for what you keep. If you have so much space, when it's filled, you're done. Either
Yeah.
rearrange what you have and get rid of the rest, and do it by donating it, finding someone who could use it.
Yeah.
Organizations that I donate to will take the yarn, and then I know it's going someplace that it will get used. And label everything so you don't have to, you've sorted through everything.
Yeah.
Now you know where everything is. You want to make sure that it's labeled.
Yeah.
All right. Now, how do you let go of what you don't need? This is tough.
It is.
I can't let go of books. I can't let go of things people have given me, even if I don't like them. I can't. Now,
Yep.
I don't. That doesn't happen often. Just if anyone who loves me is listening, It doesn't happen often, just saying. Um, but you gotta be able to let go of it if you don't need it. Don't get emotionally attached, right, Biz?
Yeah, that's super hard. It is really hard because, where um Donna, she's got some really good points she's making here. She
Yeah.
says, I have no
Alright, I'm
acrylic in
gonna
my
go back.
stash. I have almost all natural fibers. And she says that some things she hangs on to because they're discontinued frequently. Yes. Now, if
Yep.
I
Oh,
know that it's
that's
a
true.
specialty yarn and it's something that I know that I'll use, then I will keep it. But if it's something that sat there, and I'm just gonna say, like somebody had donated me a bunch of red heart yarn, and yes, I'm a little bit snooty when it comes to my yarn because I refuse to use red heart, and which is I feel almost hypocritical about it because I had a yarn store up in northern Wisconsin where I sold almost only red heart yarn, but that's what that community needed. You know what I mean? I personally don't care for it anymore. At the time, I didn't know any better or that I didn't like it because I had never had access to other yarns.
Right.
So once I found out that I didn't like Red Heart anymore, when people donated it to me, it would just sit there and I go, gosh, I feel really bad for not using it because people gave this to me with the intention of it being used.
Yeah,
So
yep.
when I finally and then I got to know someone who was like, "I don't care what yarn it is. I love yarn." I'm like, "Girl, you got yourself some yarn." And I
Here it
gave her
is.
bags and boxes of yarn.
Well, you bring up a good point. Our tastes change over time.
Mhm.
Yarn companies come out with new yarns. Um, New projects are designed with those, and our tastes change.
For sure.
I am using yarns today that I've not used before. My
Yep.
preferences change, right?
Mhm.
So that's
Yep.
another reason to look at stuff. Be picky about be honest with yourself and be picky. Use the joy test. If it's just a matter of I might use that in 6 months,
Yeah.
but it's not bringing you joy right now, and I don't mean in a frou-frou way, it's just
Right.
in the way, you gotta
Right.
make an honest decision.
Yeah.
Um, we talked about this before, set clear goals. One of the biggest goals we have every year is what to give everybody for the holidays,
Yeah.
and they're coming up in 2.5 months, and we've gotta
Yeah.
be planning now, so that's a great goal. What do you have in your stash that you can use?
Another way to do that too is can I shop in my stash?
Yes.
We're all looking at today's economy and are there ways that I can pull back and help myself by just
Mhm.
shopping in what I already have?
Yep.
I mean, yes, I want to try that new yarn, or yes, I really want to try that new color,
Right.
whatever. But if we can learn to satisfy ourselves with what we have, we actually, help to eliminate a lot of our problem as far as our stash taking
Right.
over our homes.
Right, and don't be afraid to supplement
Right.
because you may have, and not necessarily even getting the same yarn, but maybe you need an additional color or something. So
Yep.
there's your opportunity to try something new.
There you go.
Start small. Start
Mhm.
small. So
Yeah.
decluttering in
Don't make
small
yourself
batches.
cry.
Man, oh man, this is something that I do every day. I have a huge project, either it's crochet or cleaning out a room or something like that, and my husband gets block. He just won't even start a project. But what I tell him, and I do in my own daily dealings, is I'll break it up into chunks
Yeah.
and figure out what can I get done today
Yep.
and celebrate that, and then know that the next time there's a chunk that I'm gonna do the next time.
Yep. Yep. And I mean,
I
that
love that.
that is a habit that is great to take into every area of your life.
Mhm.
She says she's a sucker for a bargain. Malabrigo Rasta for $9. Yes, please. I've only used Malabrigo yarn once, and I think I actually
Oh
have some
my.
on my shelf that somebody gave
Wow.
to me. I've never used it, so I'm not quite there. But
That's a splurge, isn't it? Yeah, I
yes,
don't use Malabrigo. Um, all right, so give yourself time to process. So if you really can't decide, set it aside, give it
yeah,
a day or 2 or
yeah,
even a week, and if it still doesn't hit the mark, get
yes.
rid of it,
And
right?
sometimes there are yarns that you're going to keep, and they're going to pass only because, you just gotta pet it a little while longer to make a decision. And there are gonna be yarns that you're gonna keep, and they might not get purged on this go round, but by the time that you come back to it and you're like, wait a minute, I had some questions about that the last time I was purging. Maybe this time I just need to get rid of it if I'm not
Right.
gonna use it.
And I don't know about you, but I don't forget my yarns. I might lose them in the clutter, but I
Right.
don't forget my yarns very
Right.
easily. They're always right here.
Yes.
So, all right, we said this already, frog unfinished projects, reuse,
Yes.
donate, whatever. Focus on what you use the most.
Yes.
I can count on worsted weight yarn, DK weight yarn. That's what I use. If
Yeah.
I have fingering weight, probably not gonna get used because the old hands just don't really enjoy that.
Yeah.
So that might be something I donate.
So I have a lot of fingering yarn, and I don't know why I like it so much. But I I think I'm addicted to the colors of the cakes. So
Yeah.
it's something that I will buy, and it'll sit on my shelf for just an eternity. I've got like 5 or 6 of them behind me. Let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah. I see that. I see
Yeah.
you. Yes.
So, uh, I mean, I should
Somewhere
probably
down
donate
the
them, but
road.
eventually I will make a shawl out of them. You know what I mean? Like that's one of
There
those
you
yarns
go.
that like I hesitate to give it away because I know I will use it eventually.
We talked about creating an I use box, but create a maybe box and put stuff in that and revisit, like you
Mhm.
said, in the
Yes.
next go round, 3 to 6 months. Don't let it sit there for a year
Yeah.
if you can help it. Try to get to it in 3 to 6 months.
Yeah. I
Donate
mean,
or sell what you don't need.
if you make a maybe box, maybe that's the box that you go to first.
There you I like that. Maybe you
If this is a
but
maybe,
ching.
maybe I
Thank
need to
you.
look at it.
Awesome. All right, that'll be our saying for today. Maybe.
Yeah.
Um, donate or sell what you don't need. We've talked about that. Visualize the end result. If you can't decide what to use that yard for, searching for a pattern for days or weeks is probably not going to help you out at all.
Yeah.
So it's probably a good time for you to think about donating that yarn or that tool or whatever.
And there are
Um,
yarns that I do have that I know that I bought, and I'm like, "Oh, this is super cute." And then the longer that it sat there, the more I realized, you know what? I'm probably not gonna like this yarn. And then it sat there. And then I thought, all right, by God, I'm using this yarn. It's been in here for so long. And then I started using it and I realized I hate this yarn. So, we all sometimes we need to catch ourselves before we actually buy it too.
oh my
Listen
gosh,
to
that's
that inner
great.
yarn man.
Exactly. All right. Use the 1 year rule. So that's where your maybe box helps.
Yeah.
Just make sure that you revisit it. And if you go through a couple of rounds of your maybe box and it's still there, maybe it's time.
Yeah.
And acknowledge the guilt
Let it
and let it go. And I
go.
feel like we have to cue the song, but no, I'm not going to sing it. Um,
Come on,
but
you're
you
the
just have
professional
to,
here.
well, I never sang that song in my professional life. It's a great song. Love it. Love Adina Menzel, but no,
Yes.
not happening. Okay. All right. So that's just a ton of ideas for how to sort, how to think about sorting your stash
Mhm.
in a more purposeful way,
Right.
right?
Right. Well,
All
and
right.
really, like you had mentioned earlier, the reason we're talking about declutter and October is really a weird month to talk about that. This is not usually the subject of October. This is the subject of like April. Oh, destash your house,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Spring cleaning,
Spring
right?
cleaning.
No.
Well, sometimes we need a fall cleaning as well.
Yep.
And this is the perfect time for you to do it because all of the holidays are coming. You
Yep.
know, we are gonna get slammed in about 2
Yep.
weeks, and from there, it's gonna be nothing but go, go, go. So
Well,
now
all
is
right.
the
So
perfect time.
we've been slammed already. So I don't know about you, but Halloween was out in August. So I'm just
Oh,
saying
yeah. Yeah.
Christmas
I
can
mean,
be out in July. What are we doing here?
yeah.
So anyway, yeah, I agree with you, and I think this is the perfect time to get this all done because again, our end goal for this entire series is to give you the tools that you need to feel successful for the holiday gift making season because there's a
Yes.
lot of stuff coming your way from all the designers about what you can
Yes.
make
Mhm.
um and things ideas for you to do for the loved ones and friends in your life. So we're going to get you there as best we can, right?
Yes. And I'm gonna throw a little plug in here for Deb's cal that she's running right now through the month of October. It is the Granny Stitch cal. It is free. It doesn't cost you anything, and it would be a great destasher
Oh, it is a
because
great stash buster.
there's 12 different squares, and it's all based around the Granny Stitch, but they're all different. So you can,
Hmm.
you can really have fun with some different stitches. But I'm just
And just
plugging
so
that out
you
there too.
know, Biz has one coming out on
She
Monday, so
does.
you need to watch for that. It's so cool. All right, I think we probably need to get to the end of our show because
Yeah,
it's getting
Ribbon
late.
Gabbin.
So we always end every broadcast with what have you been watching? So I know you've been watching a lot of history text.
I have.
Reading.
So when I'm not reading for college, I swear to God, the first time that I went to college, I don't think I read this much. And now I'm going for my bachelor's, and holy crap, I've never read this much in my whole life. But anyway, so I just have to center myself because today I need to start working on. I'm getting to a place where I have a good rhythm going though. So like I'm getting
Yeah.
most of my schoolwork done at the beginning of the week or midweek. So I'm not like trying to cram it all in on Saturday and Sunday and losing my weekend to it. It's awful. But I have been watching when we do watch TV, which is always at night. Lately, we've been doing a lot of barbecue competition shows and stuff like that. But I did write down um, some movies that I watched recently that I really, really liked on Netflix, and they're called Code 8, like CODE, the letter, and then the number 8. They are a sci-fi thriller cop-ish kind of show. It's about superpowers that are banned and the corrupt police force, and the story carries over to movies. And so there's Code 8, the first one, and then the finish. And I thought they were enjoyable.
Cool. That really sounds cool.
So what did you
That would
watch?
never fly in my household because my husband
Well, I watched it
not a
without anybody
sci-fi
here.
fan. Oh, cool.
Yeah. 'Cause they wouldn't have flown with my family either.
Well, that's why we should live closer together because it would fly for me. Um, we it's the end, the regular baseball season has ended. So for us, it's most of the network stuff is coming back in a week or two. So
Mm,
we're rewatching a few episodes from last season, and
sure.
the Phillies start their playoff bid tomorrow. So we've been watching some baseball. Lots of little league baseball has kept our evenings devoid of TV watching. So that's where we are. We're just going to spend a
Yeah,
whole weekend with both little league and playoff baseball. And this
yeah,
is the time of the year we normally don't watch other teams play on TV. But of course, now we've narrowed down to the elite. So we have to watch all the games. So,
all the games.
yay,
Yay.
all the games.
Oh, football started, so every
Oh, yeah,
day.
that too.
Yeah, and Tony's got
Oh,
this NFL something that he's got it every day. It's football. It's like, God, okay.
well, they keep expanding it. It used to be all Sunday, right?
Yeah,
Then they
yeah,
added Monday night football, and that was a big deal. Now
yes.
they've got Thursday night football. Every
Thursday
once
night.
in a while, they have Saturday night football. They really just
Yes,
want all the football all the
yes.
time. It's like,
Well, and
come
now
on, dudes.
it was where they were just going to London. and that was for a few years, and then they went to, I think, Germany for the first time last year, and now this year they went to South America. I don't remember what country it was
Yep,
in.
the Eagles. No, the
Yes,
Eagles went to
the Eagles and the
Philadelphia Eagles
Packers
went
played
to
each other.
Brazil.
No, yes, no, yes. Eagles and Packers played that game.
I whatever.
So,
It's
and
just a
then did you
lot of
hear about the
sports.
whole thing with the green with that? Where they were told not to wear the color green because in that country or that area of the country, that stadium, their rival team wore green. So they were told not to wear green because it was also
Yes.
gang related and it was really dangerous for them so that they wouldn't get beat up because of the rivalry. Why would
So
you
the Eagles
send
wore their black and whites.
the two teams whose primary color is green? Come
Green.
on. What is wrong with the
So
NFL?
all of the fans who went down there with their jerseys on were
Right?
probably
Oh
accosted in
my
some
gosh.
market. I don't know. That's
I would be
crazy.
tripping.
I knew there was a reason why they didn't wear their green, but I don't know. But anyway, that's what we're
Ugh.
watching. We've s- and that's it for this week. Oh
Yes,
my
it
gosh, that was a
is.
whole lot, Biz. That was a whole lot. So I know that we gave you lots of information. Go back and rewatch it if you want. You can look up all of the titles that I had in there to find the section
Yeah.
that you're looking for. And next week, we're going to be talking about how to organize and decorate your newly destashed and de-stressed space. So we're going
Yes.
to come up with some solutions for, I think decorating is just as important
Uh-huh.
as organizing, right? We did some
Yeah.
organizing today, but I think decorating, and you can use your crochet to decorate. I get ahead of myself though. So anyway, join us next week for that episode where we're going to help move you into a pretty space.
Yes. Doot doot doot. All right, you guys have
I
a great
know, right?
weekend.
Yep. We love having you here. So we hope to see you next week. If you missed us in the live, make sure that you catch us on the replay in YouTube or Facebook. All
Yes.
right, for now, we're going to say goodbye and see you next time. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.